Prime Minister to land shortly for 3-day US visit. He will hold bilaterals with Joe Biden tonight. All eyes on the key meet. Indian community excited to welcome the Prime Minister upon landing in Philadelphia International Airport around 7:30 this evening. Josh is high in Delaware, United States of America. Indian diaspora all set to welcome the Prime Minister today.
It's time, I would say, that this has to be very seriously taken. हमारे भगवान को जो बचा नहीं पाएंगे, वो हमको क्या बचाएंगे भाई?
Tirupati Laddu Rao gets bigger. BJP leader Madhvi Lata to visit Tirupati says those who can't save gods cannot save us. Rahul Gandhi defends his subversive remark on Sikhs, says shouldn't India be a country where every Sikh and every Indian can freely practice their religion without fear? Hello and welcome. You watching the Saturday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. Tonight, our focus on three stories, starting with Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States of America. Like all previous visits of the Prime Minister, remember this visit too has evoked a lot of excitement amongst the Indian diaspora. But these are changing geopolitical times, especially keeping in mind the upcoming elections in United States of America. We'll be looking into how exactly has the relationship between the Prime Minister and Joe Biden essentially flourished over the last few years, and what would it mean if Donald Trump once again returns? What does it really mean for India? That's on tonight on This Is Exclusive. The other two stories, a story that we have been tracking very closely, a horrific incident that took place in Odisha, where a fiancé of an army major was brutally assaulted inside a police station. Questioning have taken place so far, but no action has been taken against those who were responsible for this atrocity. And finally, the other story coming in from Gurugram, a shocking incident of one person losing his life. This after a person was driving on the wrong lane. All this and much more on this edition. But let me first begin with the first story coming in from United States of America. In a short while from now, in less than 30 minutes from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be landing in Philadelphia, where he is going to be greeted by the Indian diaspora. Now, as far as the big highlights of this visit is concerned, a lot of speculations whether at all he is going to meet the former President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, and how exactly are the changing times in the United States of America really going to weigh in on the India-US relationship. Joining us on this broadcast is Mr. Vibhuti Jha, a former Republican candidate. Mr. Jha, thank you very much for joining us on This Is Exclusive. Let me straight away begin by asking you, a lot of speculations now doing the rounds that Prime Minister Modi would be meeting Donald Trump. In fact, Donald Trump had made that announcement here in India. There has been no official confirmation really coming in. But the changing times that we're really looking at right now, how does that really impact the relationship that United States of America has with India?
Thank you very much for having me today on the show today. Yes, Prime Minister Modi's many visits to United States, this also is a very significant one. And let's be very clear that Prime Minister Modi has definitely ignited the Indian diaspora globally. So that's a very welcome sign for him coming here again. Now, we know this particular thing very clearly, that this particular Quad meeting was going to happen in India. And at Biden's request, the Quad meeting was shifted to United States, which I think all the Quad members agreed as a courtesy, as a gesture to President Biden that, this is his end of term. So, give him the benefit of hosting, being a host. And it turned out to be good for India as well, because India will now hold this event next year, which means that whoever is the president of the United States will have to come visit India for the purposes of Quad meeting. That said, it is critical that Prime Minister Modi visited here. India-US relationship has been talked about in many ways. One of them is strategic allies, natural partners, and all that kind of stuff. But undercurrent of the scenario is always tricky between the State Department, Donald Lu and others, Rahul Gandhi's visit here. So this meeting between Biden and Modi will be an important one. Mr. Biden is on the last leg of his presidency. He has never been anti-India. This man personally has never been anti-India. He has done enormous good towards Indo-US relationships. But there are elements within the administration that is important. However, this is one thing is very clear, that India's role in the American foreign policy is clearly established. America needs India as much as India needs America. I don't believe in that, the conversation that America needs India more than India needs America, or vice versa. We need each other. Doesn't matter what is the extent of need, be it 5% or 95%. So India is needed by America. So in the process, everything from maritime security to Indo-Pacific to security arrangements otherwise, Ukraine war and everything else, India has been on the forefront of every foreign policy of America. When Prime Minister Modi has clearly refused to acknowledge Ukraine war other than a European skirmish or European happening, nobody is buying that Ukraine is a global war threat or to everybody else. So what I'm looking at it this way is an assertion of India's geopolitical strength, India's geopolitical capacities, and Prime Minister Modi has definitely held it very firm. So that is, in my opinion, a very important thing. And Prime Minister will be also addressing the future event, future vision, and this which will happen on Monday or Tuesday. And that's what is important, where he will give the vision that is critical for the world to follow, having told the world that this is not an era of war. So Prime Minister Modi has emerged as a global statesman, and America is accepting that reality.
Mr. Jha, but is the West willing to accept that India is no longer a pushover, and there is a rising voice of the global South that perhaps the West will have to come to terms with? It has been difficult for the West. We have seen in multiple instances where they still feel the need to interfere, the need to perhaps push their own agenda without realizing that this India is way different than what it was.
You are absolutely spot on with that observation. So far, the global dialogue, the global initiatives on diplomacy and war, this was all played by the West. That pendulum has swung. It is towards Asia. And Prime Minister Modi has definitely positioned India as a remarkable power and engine of growth, as an economy, as a political voice of 1.4 billion people. He keeps reminding the world about it. And also the fact that the Indian element can't be ignored anymore. The presence of India cannot be ignored anymore. So West is definitely cognizant of that. Are they very happy about it? I'm not too sure they are happy about it, because whenever power pendulum swings one way or the other, somebody is losing it. So West's grip on the global narrative is definitely shrinking, if not weakening totally. And that's what is important for the rest of the world to know, that I use the Hindi word, India's varchasva and India's supremacy and India's assertiveness is creating a very powerful scenario. And that you can see the way Indian diaspora is responding. For first ever time in the last 10 years, I was there at MSG, Madison Square Garden, when Prime Minister came in 2014, and I will be there in Long Island tomorrow, 10 years to date for that event. So what is important here is the continuity of messaging, the integrity of statements. These have been holding Modi very well on the global scene. And I want to remind the viewers here, the year Article 370 was abrogated, Prime Minister addressed the United Nations. I think that was the last one he addressed, in which he clearly talked about, in his allotted 15 minutes of time, the cooperation of Global South. He invited that Global South must participate in India's growth story and India's economic revival. And he invited Global South to take part in it. And this is something geopolitically a master stroke made by Prime Minister Modi. I'm saying this using the word master stroke because the attention had to be shifted from the North-North dialogue as if everything else didn't matter. For the first ever time, in G20, for example, Africa as a continent has been invited as G21. We know that. So this is where the voice of the forgotten has been included in the global agenda, and you cannot do away with that. And I'm particularly delighted to see how the voices of African people and various countries have begun to assert themselves to Europeans and others. You can't take us for granted anymore.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jha, for joining us on this broadcast. And we're hoping that tomorrow, once you're there at the venue, you'll be joining us live once again as we continue with our rolling coverage here on Republic TV.
In a generational shift, in 2014, I was with Arnav
focus
on
now
the
to the
show,
other story that we've been... Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jha. We'll be back tomorrow with you once again. Shifting focus now to the other story that we have brought to you late last night, ladies and gentlemen. This is about a heinous crime that was committed in Odisha, saving the honor of our armed forces. An army officer along with his fiancée went to a police station where they were brutally assaulted. Rather than filing an FIR, you've had the police officers there at the station taking them into custody, illegally detaining them for several hours put together. And the army officer's fiancée has made stunning claim, where she says that she was sexually assaulted by an officer inside the police station, resulting in a massive war of words taking place between our veterans and those in power in the state of Odisha. In fact, as far as the action that has been taken so far is just mere suspension of 5 officers. Veterans today are demanding a thorough investigation to be carried out, starting with the fact that they need to basically look into several other aspects beyond the expulsion also. What's important to point out here is the fact that there has been no action that has been taken so far. Let me also go across to my colleague Riyanka, who's joining us on this broadcast. Riyanka, it turns out that there have been a demand that has been made by a section within the IPS lobby, the association there, that they want to revoke the suspension. Rather than demanding that strong action should be taken against the officers, you've had the same very association now demanding that their suspension should be revoked. First, bring us up to speed with regards to the investigation that has been carried out so far.
That's right. There have been several developments in this case happening today in Bhubaneswar. First up is the investigation report that has been filed by the crime branch. It has been submitted to the ADG as well as to the NCW as demanded yesterday. So a final report by the crime branch in this case will be in fact submitted tomorrow as well. And this report includes the statements of the 5 suspended police officials of Bharatpur police station in Bhubaneswar, as well as the army officer and his fiancée, who was the victim in this case. Now, to everyone's shocker, the fact that there has been no strict action taken against the 5 police officials other than a suspension, the Odisha Police Association is coming out in open and meeting with the commissioner, demanding revoking the suspension of the 5 police officers. They have demanded that the investigation is still underway and they still haven't been found guilty, which is why the suspension has to be revoked. On the other hand, the anger is mounting on the streets today. We saw that the women wing of the BJD as well as the Congress party had come out and protested in front of the Raj Bhavan in Bhubaneswar against this heinous act. On the other hand, we are also seeing the fact that there have been several other developments taking place in terms of the road Romeos who were arrested by the police. 7 road Romeos who allegedly had in fact mishandled the army officials' fiancé at the first place. They were arrested and they have been in fact produced before the court as well. When these accused were confronted by the media, they said that we did not commit any mistake and we did not do any wrong. So this case currently being investigated by the crime branch. More details will be followed at this point in time. We're also seeing war of words that has broken out between the BJP and the opposition BJD in the state of Odisha.
A quick question, Riyanka, with regards to, there was an assurance that was made by the Chief Minister that he will be looking into the role of each of these officers and strict action would be taken against them. It turns out that they have now simply handed this over to the crime branch and the investigation basically ends there. What more are you picking up?
That's right. With the assurance coming in from the side of the Chief Minister, Mohan Maji, what we see at this point in time, yes, he did come out and speak about the fact that, yes, there will be strict action being taken against the 5, police officials. But once this case has now been forwarded to the crime branch, the investigation on that front is underway. But clearly, on the other hand, pressure also mounting from several police officials and associations that they want that these suspensions be revoked. So it seems that currently there is no way that it has been, establishing the fact that there is any strict action or whether there will be a strict action taken against these 5 police officials that also include 2 female police officials who have allegedly committed such a shocking and heinous crime with an army officer's fiancé at the Bharatpur police station.
Well, thank you very much, Riyanka, for getting us the latest details, a story that we'll be tracking very closely. We'll in fact also we've reached out to several veterans who've now participated in this justice for Brigadier Pradhan's daughter and the army officer who was illegally detained for several hours put together inside the police station. Shifting focus now to the other story that we're getting to you tonight, coming in from Gurugram. Just about a few days ago, a horrific incident that took place in Gurugram, in the heart of the city, when a bike-borne person rammed into a car. This was an SUV that was coming in through the wrong side. In fact, it turns out that the person was released within a few hours. A station bail was granted in just about 30 minutes. And the fact that he happens to be a habitual offender. Just about a few months ago, he was also challaned for driving in the wrong way. Remember, in this particular case, that has led to the loss of life. A young life was lost because one person decided to be on the wrong side and perhaps continue driving on that. In fact, my colleague Akhil has also spoken to certain witnesses who have been examined by the police. We'll try and also play out some of the reactions that have been brought in by my colleague Akhil, but let me first bring him and then we'll play out some of those reactions that are coming in. Akhil, a quick update with regards to the investigation that has been carried out. A short while back, Gurugram Police Commissioner made the assurance that they are looking into this matter. They are going to challenge the bail. What more are you picking up?
Well, absolutely, Shawan. What's happened that we have been constantly speaking to the Gurugram police and the victim family as well. The victim family has been constantly claiming if the main accused, Kuldeep Thakur, could not be able to produce that driving license, then how come Gurugram police has left him? Because what we have been seeing that the main accused in this case, Kuldeep Thakur, made several calls to his friend and asked for him to get the backdated license, backdated deal. So these are the glaring mistakes on the sides of the Gurugram police. This is what the family members of the victim is claiming. Apart from that, if you see, the second thing is that when the incident took place at around 6 a.m. on 15th morning, at that point in time, when that incident took place, the main accused was just sitting in his car for approximately 7 to 8 minutes, and he made several calls. So the family is also demanding that why CDR has not been revealed by the police. Apart from that, if you see, when the bail was granted, our senior politician from a political party which has not been named so far by the family members of the victim, that he made several calls to a politician. A politician arrived at the police station. Then who that politician was, this also needs to be answered by the Gurugram police. So the Gurugram police is looking it from different angle, and they are still awaiting for the forensic report. So once the forensic report will out, then many questions which needs to be answered will be clear in the days to come, Shawan.
Well, Akhil, I'll request you to stay on with us. Akhil has also spoken to the family members of Akshat Garg. Listen.
रॉन्ग साइड से गाड़ी लाया वो, और वो गाड़ी से उतर तक नहीं रहा था। वो उसने मार दिया मेरा बच्चा।
उतर तक नहीं रहा था मतलब?
हाँ जी, वो गाड़ी से जब उसने एक्सीडेंट कर दिया, वो गाड़ी से बाहर नहीं आ रहा था। फिर उसके दोस्त प्रद्युमन ने,
मुझे एक बहुत बड़ी बात कह रही हैं आप। जनरली क्या होता है, जब भी कोई दुर्घटना होती है या फिर ये एक इंसानी फितरत है, इंसान का तौर तरीका है कि अगर दुर्घटना हुई तो कहीं ना कहीं आप जल्दी से गेट खोलते हैं, देखते हैं कि क्या घट गया। कितनी देर तक
खोला?
गेट क्यों नहीं खोला?
टाइमिंग नहीं पता, उसने गेट
लगभग कितनी?
5-10 मिनट तो वो गाड़ी में ही रहा। फिर प्रद्युमन ने गेट खोल के उसको बाहर निकाला।
क्यों? तो वो उस हालत में नहीं था क्या कि वो बाहर निकल कर देख सके? ऐसा कुछ था?
तो वही जानता होगा। उसको तो कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ा ना। उसने तो एक मर्डर कर दिया, उसको कोई फर्क ही नहीं। उसने तो उसी टाइम कॉल किया किसी। उस लड़के के पास ना लाइसेंस था, रॉन्ग साइड वो चला रहा था, और उस दिन संडे था। फिर भी उसको आधे घंटे में छोड़ दिया गया, और सब यही बता रहे कि बीजेपी का स्टिकर था, किसी नेता को इसको छुड़ाने आया।
अभी तो कुछ नहीं कहा जा रहा है प्रशासन की ओर से। जो जिस दिन इंसिडेंट हुआ था उसी दिन बात हुई थी, उसके बाद से हमारे पास कोई अपडेट नहीं है। एंड जो पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट और एमएलसी रिपोर्ट होनी थी, तो दे टोल्ड अस कि 2-3 दिन में मिल जाएगी, बट वो अभी तक हमारे पास कोई अपडेट नहीं है। एंड ऑल्सो भी पुलिस हमारा कॉल्स भी रिसीव नहीं कर रही है।
आपका कॉल पुलिस रिसीव नहीं करी, क्यों? क्या लगता है आपको, किस वजह से पुलिस रिसीव नहीं कर रही है?
वजह तो मेरे को नहीं पता, बट दे आर नॉट रिस्पॉन्डिंग फ्रॉम पास्ट 2 days।
अच्छा, मुझे ये बताएं, इस केस के अंदर जो अक्यूज्ड है, उस अक्यूज्ड को पुलिस ने बेल के तहत जो है रिहा कर दिया है ना? क्यों, आपको क्यों लगता है? क्योंकि उसने अभी तक जो ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस है उसको भी प्रोड्यूस नहीं किया है पुलिस के सामने।
मे भी हो सकता है कोई सोर्स उसका है लिंक को, आई डोंट नो अबाउट दैट, पर सेम डे उसको छोड़ दिया इन्होंने, तो वो तो गलत ही था। डीएल भी नहीं था तो छोड़ना भी नहीं चाहिए था, और नेक्स्ट डे ईद थी तो वैसे ही हॉलीडे था, तो सेम डे छोड़ा है तो कुछ है तो लिंक हो गया। आई डोंट नो कि क्या रहा होगा उसके पीछे का।
मैं खुद जेल फेज़ 2 के पुलिस स्टेशन गया, वहाँ पर जो सीज्ड कार है XUV 300 वो वहाँ रखी हुई है, सीज्ड है। उस पर एक स्टिकर लगा हुआ है, उस पर एक बीजेपी के एक लीडर का, सीनियर लीडर का स्टिकर लगा हुआ है जो हरियाणा से बिलोंग करते हैं। क्या आपको लगता है कि उनका उसके साथ कोई कनेक्शन था?
मे बी हो सकता है, डोंट नो, हो सकता है पॉलिटिकल लिंक हो, बट उससे या हो सकता है उस रेड से निकला हो, पर वो मेरे को पता नहीं, बिकॉज आई डोंट नो कि क्या लिंक रहा था। बाकी आई थिंक ही ओन्स कोई एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी, तो वो तो किसके लिए भी एडवर्टाइज कर सकते हैं, इट कैन बी एनी पार्टी, तो मे भी हो सकता है। आई डोंट नो अबाउट दैट कि अगर कोई वैसे पॉलिटिकल लिंक है इसमें।
क्या क्या मांगे हैं अभी आपकी अक्षत के लिए?
मांगी है दैट वी वांट जस्टिस, और ही वाज अ फाइनेंशियल हेल्प टू मी, वी आर बोथ अर्निंग, वी वर द ब्रेड विनर्स, तो अभी मेरे तो चला गया एक सपोर्ट, सो आई एम द ओनली वन हु इज़ अर्निंग, सो वी नीड कि वो पीछे हो, जेल में हो, एंड वी नीड द कॉम्पनसेशन जो भी होता है।
इस केस में जो है वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन 7वें दिन में एंटर कर चुकी है। हम रिपब्लिक भारत की जो टीम है लगातार इसको इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रही है। आज 7वां दिन है। क्या आप जो जांच की प्रक्रिया है उससे संतुष्ट हैं?
नहीं, संतुष्ट तो नहीं हूँ, क्योंकि ऑन द वेरी फर्स्ट डे जब रिपोर्ट के लिए गए थे तो वो पुलिस रिपोर्ट भी नहीं लिख रही थी। तो फिर हम गए, जब एक दो बंदे गए, जब थोड़ा हमने डंडा वंडा करा, जब जाके पुलिस ने उन्होंने FIR लिखी, और वो जो एक्सीडेंट फुटेज थी वो भी पुलिस ने नहीं।
पुलिस क्यों FIR क्यों नहीं करना चाह रही थी पुलिस? क्या इसके पीछे रीज़न क्या था?
रीज़न तो मुझे पता नहीं है, उनको काम नहीं करना है, उनको लगा ये जस्ट अ नॉर्मल एक्सीडेंट है तो होता रहता है मे बी।
नहीं, सारी की सारी दुर्घटना जो है DLF के फेज़ 2 मेट्रो स्टेशन थोड़े पहले होती है। बहुत ही प्रोमिनेंट लोकेशन है, बहुत ही पॉश लोकेलिटी है, उसमें सारी वीडियो सामने आई है, फिर भी पुलिस रिकॉर्ड नहीं करना चाह रही थी।
पुलिस वो वीडियो ले ही नहीं रही थी। फिर शायद आई बिलीव मीडिया के बोलने के 1-2 दिन बाद पुलिस ने वो वीडियो लिया है, तो उससे पहले तो कोई एक्शन ही नहीं कर रहे थे वो। तो मैं जब एक बार वो इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर से विजिट करा तो कह रहे थे एक्सीडेंट होता है, मतलब ऐसे हो जाता है, रॉन्ग टर्न लोग लेते हैं, क्योंकि इतना U-turn कौन लेकर आया, गुड़गांव है ये तो ही।
आपको ये लगता है कि कैजुअल बिहेवियर?
कैजुअल बिहेवियर था पुलिस
का।
जो इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर थे नवीन, उनका कैजुअल बिहेवियर था, तो मेरे को कहीं से नहीं लगा वो सीरियस है इस चीज़ को लेकर। तो यही है।
अच्छा, मुझे इस केस में ये बताएं कि 7 दिन हो चुका है, आगे की कार्रवाई में क्या लगता है, क्या कुछ डेवलपमेंट होने वाला है?
अभी तो कोई डेवलपमेंट नहीं है पुलिस के साइड से, हमारे पास तो कोई अपडेट नहीं हो क्या कर रहे हैं क्या नहीं कर रहे हैं। हम ही कॉल कर रहे हैं तो वो रिस्पॉन्ड भी नहीं कर रहे हैं।
पुलिस ने इसमें FIR फाइल की है। FIR के बाद जो डिटेल्स निकल कर आई है, ब्रेथलाइजर का टेस्ट होता है, अल्कोहल का टेस्ट होता है। पुलिस का ये कहना है कि इसके अंदर जो अक्यूज्ड है कुलदीप ठाकुर, वो शराब के साथ नशे में नहीं था। क्या आपको लगता है वो शराब के नशे में नहीं था?
कुछ मैं कह नहीं सकता इस बारे में। हो सकता है वो ही वॉज ड्रंक ऑल्सो, आई एम नॉट श्योर। हो सकता है, तो जब रिपोर्ट्स आएंगी तो पता चलेगा। तो बाकी आई डोंट नो कि कैसा रहने वाला है इसके साथ। और जब हम गए थे कि तो उन्होंने कहा कि ये तो बेलेबल ऑफेंस है, तो इसलिए वो छूट गया। ये हमें पुलिस
उसने अभी तक ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस अपना जो है प्रोक्योर करके पुलिस को नहीं दिया है, तो आपको लगता नहीं है कि वो जायज़ नहीं था उसको छोड़ना पुलिस को?
वो तो था बिल्कुल, वो तो इनकरेक्ट है जो पुलिस ने करा, क्योंकि हम जब निकलते हैं तो हमसे तो पुलिस अगर ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस नहीं हो तो उसके लिए भारी भारी चालान कर लेती है, वरना रोके रखती है। तो किसी ने किसी का इतना बड़ा कर दिया और आपने उसका ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस नहीं लिया, तो ये तो बहुत बड़ी मिस्टेक है पुलिस की।
क्या लगता है आपको, ऐसा क्यों किया जा रहा है?
तो हो सकता है तो मे बी उसके लिंक्स हो, पर लिंक्स हो, वरना अगर कोई नॉर्मल बंदा होगा तो ही कैन नॉट एस्केप।
इस वक्त हमारे साथ जो है, जो विक्टिम है उसके फादर जो है वो भी मौजूद हैं। मयंक के फादर और अक्षत गर्ग के फादर इस वक्त मौजूद हैं। ये जो घड़ी है आपके लिए बहुत मुश्किल की घड़ी है, किस तरीके से देखते हैं आप पूरी घटना को?
ये बहुत दुखद घटना है और इसका पुलिस एक्शन ले, अच्छी तरह से एक्शन ले। दूसरा, ये हत्या का केस दर्ज करे और अपराधी को छोड़े नहीं किसी भी कीमत पर।
अपराधी को तो रिहा कर दिया, बेल पे अपराधी बाहर है।
नहीं तो ये गलत किया है ना अपराधी को, ये एक तरह से हत्या है और हत्यारे को छोड़ेगा और भी लोगों को मारेगा, और भी अक्षत जैसे न जाने कितने बच्चे अपनी जान गंवा सकते हैं।
As the investigation has entered in its 7th day, the victim's family have been constantly demanding for justice. We at the Republic Media Network have been constantly running the campaign against the main accused, because he has been the main conspirator of this entire incident. And tomorrow, Akshat's family, the victim's family, has given a call for protest from Dhaula Kuan to the spot site at DLF Phase 2 where that incident took place. Keep watching Republic TV. We'll be right back after a short commercial break.